Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Matt Schwartz. I'm responsible for AWS's SAP business globally, and with me is Everett Olivan. He runs our North American business. We're here going to talk to you about today, transforming your business with RISE on AWS. And I'm glad we had a 3 o'clock spot. It's perfect. Everyone either has their food coma or their feet hurt. So I hope you're here to listen to us, or if you're here just to rest your feet, enjoy. It's going to be a great conversation. We can't do Q&A during the session, so afterwards, if you want to meet us at the AWS booth, which is right around the corner, we'd be loved to talk to you and answer any questions you might have. So Everett?
Thanks, Matt. As Matt said, my name is Everett Olivan, and I lead our sales team for SAP on AWS for North America, Latin America, and our global accounts. Proud 14-year alumni of SAP, and thrilled you're all here today. This is my 15th Sapphire, so good to see some familiar faces out in the audience. Speaking of 15 years, want to talk a little bit about the partnership that SAP and AWS have shared around cloud. You may not know it, but we were the first cloud provider that SAP started working with. We started working with SAP in 2008 on some of their work, and by 2012, we were moving SAP customers to the AWS cloud. And so we have a really rich history. We've been the longest cloud provider that SAP has worked with, and we're really proud of the relationship that we have with SAP. Not only are we proud of that relationship, but also around the collaboration that it brings. And so we have an amazing track record of innovation with SAP, whether that's automation of capabilities within SAP when it comes to the infrastructure layer, or whether it's our most recent collaboration around the joint reference architecture. This is a preset endorsed reference architecture from SAP and AWS that allows RISE customers to optimize their landscape and their optimization of their existing plans to move to AWS with RISE. In addition to the collaboration, we also have unparalleled access for our joint customers together. By that, you will find that the most number of BTP services now at 90, AWS has the most. We have 25 BTP services that run exclusively on AWS, and we're really proud of that. We also have a lot of access to Amazon, not just AWS. And for example, if you run Ariba with SAP today, you can actually punch out and sell your product on Amazon Business, which is like the Amazon marketplace that we all have boxes of Prime delivered to our house. But if you manufacture goods, direct or indirect goods, you can actually post those goods on the AWS store and collaborate directly from Ariba. So those are amazing abilities for us to bring our two companies together. And then last but not least, we came up with the climate pledge to get to net zero carbon emissions by 2040. And SAP has signed on to that journey with us, and we're proud of that collaboration as well. Last fall, we partnered with SAP Insider to really look a little bit deeper into what customers were thinking about when it came to RISE. And we authored this document. You can get the QR code there, or we can put it up after the presentation if you'd like to download a free copy of that. But it really asked customers, what are you trying to achieve with RISE on AWS? And what the customer said was they want to meet the business demands, whether that's scaling up to peak periods, whether that's allowing innovation in terms of the business models, whether it's dealing with new regulations in an efficient manner. Super important, 35% of the customers said that. Modernizing without disruption. If you look at, and Matt will talk a little bit more about this in a minute, but our security posture is unparalleled in terms of capabilities that SAP customers can take advantage of. And also, we have, you can look at the statistics for unplanned outages from all hyperscalers. They all publish them. I encourage you to look at that publicly available information and see just how little unplanned downtime AWS customers face in the marketplace. And then improving business processes. Whether that's using S4 and taking advantage of some of those new business processes, or whether it's collaborating with us. Matt will mention in a little bit, we have an ABAP SDK, but there are over 200 native AWS services that customers, SAP customers, can use whether that's reaching out and using some of our forecasting technology, whether it's using our generative AI, which is a very hot topic for everybody today. There's a lot of opportunities to take the native services of AWS and combine them with your RISE on AWS instance. So why do people choose AWS? Because we can help you accelerate your move to the cloud, whether that's a one-stop journey to S4, or whether that's a two-putt where maybe you refactor on HANA as your database and then move to S4. We have a lot of best practices we can help you with, and we're happy to help you speed your journey to the cloud. Second of all, maximizing performance and protecting against business disruption. I mentioned business disruption a minute ago. We have hundreds of certified instance types for compute to run with SAP. So to make sure that you have the right optimized environment for your SAP landscape, customers look to AWS to support them. And then transformation and innovation, right? That's a key aspect for people. It's high in their business agenda. And we're here to help you do that. And we, again, have services as well as best practices we can help you leverage to get to the cloud faster with RISE on AWS. We have a lot of great customer stories to share, and these are all available on the SAP website if you look them up. Zurich Insurance going big on RISE on AWS globally. That's an exciting story that's unfolding. Asoterix, Canadian company, very different story. Unlike Zurich, which is a longtime SAP customer, Asoterix had a legacy ERP system and wanted to go greenfield and start new with SAP, and so they chose AWS, and they were able to get up and running on S4 within weeks. Revlon, a different customer, again, consumer products company, many of you are familiar with them. Revlon was an early adopter of RISE on AWS, and they used it because their commercial e-commerce volumes were growing 40% a year, and they needed to be able to deliver scalability to their online operations. And then American Air Filters did an unbelievable presentation last year for us. They have innovated and they have rolled out RISE globally and have really learned a lot of lessons. And perhaps if you get to that stage, we could have you talk with them or show you some of the best practices and lessons learned that they came out of their experience with. So, and then Tiva is another. But I encourage you all to take a look at these stories to understand where other customers have been in their journey so that you can help expedite your own learning and decision-making process and ultimately getting to RISE with AWS. So with that, Matt, let me turn it over to you.
Thanks, Everett. I appreciate it. Maybe a quick show of hands. How many are in the audience here are current SAP customers? How many are partners? All right, we got a good mix of both. You guys should talk to each other. So when we talk about innovating faster and to transform your business, you heard Everett talk a lot about speed. I met with a customer earlier today that is a consumer products company. And they said by doing RISE on AWS, they've improved their throughput and their transaction speeds by 60%. And also by moving to the technical infrastructure and having SAP provide that service, that they're saving $15,000 a month on resource costs. $15,000 per resource. Now, I didn't mention how many resources they were able to remove, but it's quite a substantial cost to be able to do that type of transformation. Now, the other thing that our customers are doing with us in SAP is to build purpose-built industry-specific solutions. So a lot of the partners, customers who are in the audience here that we're working with today are building specific industry solutions for SAP on AWS, whether it's about manufacturing, healthcare, life sciences, oil and gas, pharma. We're building solutions with SAP on BTP as well as with AWS native services. And we're doing this with other partner solutions in mind. So if you think about OpenText or DocuSign or Adobe, these are all applications that run natively on AWS. So we're not just talking about solving your issues within your SAP landscape, we're talking about solving business issues across your entire enterprise architecture. So when we think about your business processes end to end, we look at AWS as the glue that's holding everything together. Because at the end of the day, it's about your data and making sure you have access to your data to be able to make critical business decisions. And AWS is going to make that, it's going to make that happen. Now, we mentioned earlier there's over 200 native services that AWS provides. Now, how do you get access to these native services? That's where RISE on AWS with SAP BTP comes into action. As Everett mentioned, we have more BTP services, a greater percentage of them, than anyone else running on AWS. In fact, in many locations, exclusively on AWS. Now, that type of co-innovation and co-engineering effort is not slowing down. I was just in Waldorf 2 weeks ago with SAP and with their BTP organization. This type of effort continues. We're going to continue to drive more innovation with SAP in this area to deliver more value to our customers. If you look at the top 15 BTP services around integration, AI, ML, IoT, those are all natively run on AWS. And these are things to consider when you're running and building out your roadmap for the future with SAP. Lastly, as Everett also mentioned, it's not just about AWS. It's about partnering with Amazon as a company. And so when you think about what Amazon can bring to the table, it's SAP supply chain plus Amazon logistics, or it's SAP Ariba plus, Amazon business. So there's a lot of, other technologies and features and functions that we can bring to the table to extend your business to make you more successful. Now, what are some of those business cases and use cases? And this is where it's so important for you as customers to talk to us about what you need and where you need us to continuously innovate. Because that's one of the things that we really thrive on, is getting feedback directly from our customers as to where we can add additional value. And this is where putting RISE on AWS does not keep you from using these use cases. In fact, it just extends your ability to leverage these technologies. So for example, document processing or forecasting. You've heard a lot about this today. You've heard about, Gen AI. We've been doing this for years. We're just really bad at marketing. All right? I mean, there's an article, actually, there's a video. Go on, CNBC, Jim Cramer, Mad Money. He even admits, he's like, wow, I didn't realize that AWS and Amazon have been doing this for a long time. So we don't brag about it, but everything we do within Amazon and AWS is running on AI. We've been doing this for a long time. So whether it's document processing and image recognition through Amazon TextRact or AppFlow, or using SageMaker for forecasting, we have a new product called Bedrock that works with our Code Whisperer. I mean, we're looking at being able to generate, code just, around ABAP code and other stuff that's just, it's going to blow your mind. So, this is the reason why, organizations are working closer with us as well as partners, because this foundation's been there for a long time. So what are the advantages? I'm going to sum this up so we can talk specifics, right? Most experience. We've been doing this longer than anybody else, over 15 years, all right? That means something. It means we architected this from day one for SAP to work in the cloud. We've been working with SAP engineering longer than anyone else. Our security. Every time I meet with a CISO, the first thing they tell me is, we're working with AWS because we know it's secure, and we know it's going to work, and we know we don't have to worry about our SAP data ever being accessed by anybody else. That's not going to change when you do RISE on AWS. You're going to get all the security that you've come to know and love that you have with your SAP today. SAP NS2 and Sovereign Cloud, if you're a public sector organization, that's all on AWS. And not only does it have your standard security, but even enhanced security on top of that for government cloud. When we look at performance, reliability, scalability, AWS is second to none. And if you look at the SAP Insider article, or if you look at all the analysts, ISG,
Gartner.
Gartner, yeah, I mean, year after year after year after year, we are ranked in the upper right-hand quartile because the performance that we deliver has never been surpassed. So when you look at working with a partner and you look at where you want to take your organization to deliver business value, both now and in the future, and you're looking at SAP as your partner for business applications, but you also want to have a partner for your infrastructure to make sure that it can grow with you, your business, and your business needs, you need to have the broadest set of cloud innovation. You need to have an organization that's going to be innovating with you as well as with SAP, and that's where AWS comes into play. So it's not just about the BTP support that we have today, but also the continued development that we're doing. You know, if you think about one of the other organizations I just worked with was the industry cloud team in Germany. So you're going to see continuous deployment of additional industry cloud solutions on AWS. If you're not working with Signavio right now, Signavio runs 100% on AWS. We're doing a lot of innovation with them, and you're going to see more innovation, especially around AI and ML, to be able to drive, again, more business process improvement for your organizations, to be able to drive quicker insights into where where you can innovate within your organization. And the migration support. So you saw half of the audience is partners. We have one of the largest partner organization networks of any hyperscaler. You have partners who know how to migrate from on-prem to the cloud, especially for RISE on AWS. And there's some really, really good people I can see looking around in this audience who are here to be able to help you migrate successfully. So I definitely would recommend you to take advantage of your Sapphire here to talk to the partners who know how to do this and do this best. So I'm going to turn things over to my friend Everett.
Thank you, Matt. So we have 3 ideas about how to get started here. First is, in addition to the SAP Insider paper you might want to download, this is our ebook on RISE with SAP on AWS, a new path to SAP modernization. Highly recommend you get a copy of that and really dive deep into the work we've presented and see how that applies to you, and use that as a basis for engaging with us in a dialogue. I'll give everybody a second because I see a lot of phones out on the QR code. So, but that is a new piece that we put out, and I think you'll find it very, very informative. I'm going to give you one more second on that one. Looks like we got there, maybe. Okay, there we go. Engage with us. You may not know a lot about Amazon or AWS culture, but we have these leadership principles. There's 16 of them. The number one leadership principle at Amazon is customer obsession. And having worked at other companies, it's easy to say that, but literally every decision we make is through the lens of what's best for the customer, regardless of the financial impact on us, right? And so test that out by getting engaged with us on a workshop. We will talk with you about RISE. We will talk with you about the advantages of RISE on AWS. We'll talk with you about infrastructure. We'll talk to you about your data strategy. We'll talk to you about leveraging native services to innovate on behalf of your business. We are very open to doing that. We have an entire series of workshops related specifically to RISE, and we'd be happy to bring those to you either virtually or in person at your facility, whatever works best for you. And then, of course, as Matt mentioned, we've got some fantastic competency partners who can help you with that migration journey. We'll stick around for a little while. If you need one of the QR codes, we'll put them back up. But we're so grateful for you coming out and for spending a little time with us. We really want to get engaged with you, and we look forward to a lot of productive discussions around RISE on AWS. Thank you so much for coming.